accomplished players playing this mirror match here. This is definitely going to be an interesting one, Chip. What do you think is the most important key factor for both these players coming into this match?
One of the most important things is going to be this opening coin flip. Who gets to choose to go second? That's what you want to do in this matchup. That's what you want to do with this deck generally, is try to get off that first electrify. And then who's able to get the first attack, the first amount of damage into an opposing tag team Pokemon, setting up a 2-hit KO or potentially even a 1-hit KO if we see like Mewtwo into Mewtwo, something like that could be really good, of course, at the right time. So we're going to go ahead and get down to the table. I think the game is getting ready to get started, and we'll see how this coin flip goes and who's able to choose to go second.
And this is a big win here for Mitch. Is going to win the coin flip and obviously going to elect to go second. And a pretty nice starting hand here as well. Obviously, Bolton being your best starter in this deck. Want to get that turn 1 electrify. So it's pretty much got that guaranteed here as Jeremy will kick things off. You're not out of the game, so to say, if you start first. It's not a lose-all, right, if the game is decided by a coin flip. But Mitch is definitely going to be at an advantage starting things off, as we do see Jeremy go ahead and start things off with a great item card, that being the Electromagnetic Radar. Going to get rid of another Electromagnetic Radar as well as Marnie. Will allow Jeremy to find those attackers, Lightning GX Pokemon, that Pikachu and Zekrom and the Raichu and Alolan Raichu. We will see those get to the hand. Mewtwo and Mew able to copy the attacks of Pokemon in play and the discard pile, so Jeremy may opt to go ahead and play those Pokemon down or discard them. The one thing to note is Mewtwo is weak to Psychic. Looking at both these players' lists, Jeremy is only playing one Mewtwo Mew, while Mitch is playing two. So it's definitely something you've got to consider when building your board. Do you play a little bit riskier and go onto your Mewtwo Mew, which can get one shot by an opposing Mewtwo? Or do you play safer and go onto the Pikarom? And it looks like Jeremy is going to go ahead and take that route of playing a little bit safer onto the Pikarom.
Definitely unfortunate, I think, to actually start the Mewtwo and Mew here, as we actually just see the reset stamp going from 6 to 6 cards. Notable for Mitch, does play the one copy of Tag Switch, as we actually see it drawn in hand there. So you can actually kind of safely power up one of your tag team Pokemon and then bench your Mewtwo and Mew, Tag Switch onto it, and try to get a surprise KO on Jeremy's Mewtwo and Mew. And since, like you said, Jeremy does only play the one single copy, you know that your Mewtwo and Mew is going to be safe from just getting one hit KO'd in return.
Yeah, and one thing to note here, again, Jeremy only playing, oh my goodness. I'll get to that in a second, but it looks like 2 more Lightning Energy coming down to play. I think we're going to be seeing an Electrify. Oh, no, we're going to see a Crobat for 1. Big 1 card, finds Research, but I don't think you want to get rid of 4 Lightning Energy in this hand. We're going to see that Electrify, put those 2 Lightning Energy onto the Raichu. But back to my point before, Jeremy is only playing 1 copy of the Mewtwo Mew and decided not to bench the Raichu. So only will have access to that attack via this Mewtwo and Mew, which we know Tandem Shock, such a good attack late on in the game, combined with something like the Reset Stamp, is so important to really set your opponent back and just try to win games by hoping your opponent cannot draw out of that stamp, as we do see the Speed Lightning that just got put back into the hand, thrown back under the Bolton. That's one of the negative effects of using Team Yellguard onto Speed Lightning. You get to reuse that effect of drawing more cards, and Jeremy content just taking this turn to play a little bit more passively and Electrify onto most likely this Pikachu and Zekrom.
Yeah, and this Mitch here, I wonder what route we'll see him take. You could just go with another Electrify onto a Pikachu and Zekrom if you draw into that. I don't know if you can really afford to discard this many energies. It's okay to get a couple of Lightnings down, because you, of course, can recover them with Tapu Koko Prism Stars, Dance of the Ancients. But, of course, both of these players are playing the full Energy Disruption package. We've got 2 Team Yellgrunts and 4 Crushing Hammers in both players' lists. So discarding too many energies could prove detrimental in the late game if you're not able to find any more of your energies and potentially just run out.
Yeah, so it looks like we are going to see the Electrify on Jeremy's side is going to put those energies onto the Pikarom, and a nice top deck here.
Yeah.
Electromagnetic Radar is going to find both Pikachu and Zekrom out of the deck. I mean, we most likely are still going to see this hand get discarded. It really hurts to see a majority of your Lightning Energy, almost half in this case, right? 4 of your Lightning Energy that are left in the deck are going to pretty much hit the discard pile. I believe 3 here. Deciding where to attach this energy, it could be good to just take another turn to Electrify, but we're actually going to see the Tag tag switch on to the Pikarom. I think we've touched on this matchup. I don't know if we've actually touched on the Pikachu and Zekrom mirror match in before, but it is a big deal on who gets the first hit into a tag team here. And the way Mitch is playing with his hand, it seems like we may be seeing this Pikarom go in right now during this turn. And this is where things get scary. You really want to get that first hit, and by hitting into the Boltund, it could be just some damage that doesn't really matter as much, and you pretty much just allow your opponent for free to full blitz into your Pikarom.
Yeah, but I think a key thing here is the crushing hammer heads, right? It limits your opponent's options. It's much harder for them to full blitz this coming turn, but it looks like Mitch will just actually play it a little slower and go ahead and electrify onto the Mewtwo and Mew. And now you're in a situation where your Boltund can be hitting for a lot of damage.
Yeah, and I also like this play to go onto the Mewtwo and Mew. There's really no way on Jeremy's side to get this Mewtwo and Mew powered up in one turn. Does not play the copy of that tag switch. So the big thing here for Mitch is it also opens up the possibility of a Boss's Orders top deck will allow this Mewtwo and Mew in combination with the switch and attachment to take a knockout on the opposing Mewtwo and Mew. And as we said, the other Raichu is in the discard pile. So Jeremy will have no more access to that Tandem Shock attack, which is a big deal in this matchup.
Absolutely, and we'll see the energy going onto the Boltund as well. Maybe going to see a Bolt Storm here. You're not doing that much damage, and since you didn't attach to Pikachu and Zekrom, we're not going to see something like Tapu Koko's Dance of the Ancients here in order to get off the first full blitz. So Jeremy kind of on the back foot already. If Mitch could actually top deck something like a Boss's Orders or maybe even a Dedenne to Dede change and dig for the boss, that would put them in a great spot. But actually, it looks like Jeremy's going to be the one playing the first Boss's Orders. As we see, this is going to be the first hit into a tag team, which is a super key piece that we talked about.
You have to wonder what's in Jeremy's hand with that big of a hand size here. He's just going to Bolt Storm for 100 damage, and this is where things get really scary. I mean, you are hitting into the first tag team, but Mitch is going to be taking the first prizes here if he chooses to with that Boltund. And when you look on Jeremy's side, there's only one energy left. If Mitch can hit a Crushing Hammerheads here, this will put Jeremy at 0 energy on board with no way to get this set up and no Crushing Hammer in that hand right away, but does have the ability to dig a little bit further. Obviously, Quick Ball being a great staple in a deck that plays only basic Pokemon, so we very may likely see this go for a little bit more aggressive, but I think likes to have the options of having Boss's Orders for the next turn to potentially bring up that opposing Mewtwo and Mew to take a knockout on that. So smartly is going to go ahead and hold the hand, drawing it to the second reset stamp off of the prizes. So Jeremy will have to find a combination of cards to get there. Maybe the Tapu Koko Star is Prism prized. Maybe it is not in the deck. So this is going to be a big turn for Jeremy. At minimum, needs to get off a full blitz to put energy in play, or else this Boltund can just start to run through. Mitch has not played, none of these players have played a Tapu Koko Prism, so Boltund is hitting for enough damage right now. I believe next turn it will be able to knock out a tag team if none of these Pokemon are dealt with this turn.
Yeah, you need to get one more energy in play, which should be pretty easy to do via the Quick Ball in hand as long as the Tapu Koko is there. Speaking of which, we do see Jeremy go ahead and grab their own Tapu Koko Prism Star. Going to need to find one more additional energy in order to full blitz, but I mean, this is looking kind of tough for Jeremy. You're in a situation where Bolt Storm is just going to be doing way too much damage next turn, and sometimes, like we said, it's great to hit into a Pikachu and Zekrom, great to hit into a tag team, but sometimes you have to recognize situations where Boltund is at risk of just getting a little out of hand. Maybe we would even see something like a Tag Bolt here just to take the knockout on Boltund. You know that your Pikachu Zekrom's not really at risk, actually, of getting KO'd. So I honestly think I would kind of like that. Otherwise, you're just opening up this Pikachu and Zekrom to getting knocked out pretty easily. I guess that is unless you hit a few heads on Crushing Hammer.
Yeah, speaking of heads, the first one, we'll go ahead and get rid of that lightning energy on the Mewtwo and Mew. That's going to be even harder now for Mitch, especially if we see this Boltund get knocked out. Otherwise, we'll need to still find a Tapu Koko Prism Star, and his bench is full, so with the way this hand stands, would not be able to dig farther with Dedenne because that bench would be locked and not able to have access to Tapu Koko. Speaking of which, Jeremy is going to go ahead and pop that Tapu Koko Prism Star, Dance of the Ancients, accelerating 2 Lightning Energy from the discard pile to 2 different Pokemon, and is also going to play the Eldegoss V down to grab the boss's orders. I think we may be seeing this boss bring up this Pikachu and Zekrom, and the attachment here means this Pikachu and Zekrom will take the knockout, accelerating 3 more energies, and this is a position where Mitch needs to put on some aggression here because it seems like Jeremy just turned the tides in this match.
Absolutely. Great draw there from Jeremy. Able to find the ability to power up this Pikachu and Zekrom and combine that with a boss's orders. Absolutely huge. That Dark Asset off of Crobat brought so many options, and Jeremy was able to pull off the best play. Now you don't have to worry about this Bolton taking a KO here, right? You're only doing 100 damage with Bolt Storm, even with the an energy attachment plus the Tapu Koko Prism Star, still not going to be enough. Now, this is a situation where Mitch could potentially get a knockout on to the opposing Mewtwo and Mew. You would have had to not bench this Boltund, go for the boss, go for the Dead-Eye change, and try to find an energy plus the Tapu Koko Prism Star. But that is a risky play that would involve you kind of just going all in on that one line, and as we see Mitch opting not to go with that. Taking time here, looking through the deck, eyeing up what exactly is remaining, what resources you have left, trying to make note of what's been discarded, what could be remaining in the prize cards, and looks like Dead-Eye GX might be the choice here over Tapu Koko.
Yeah, we've seen this card time and time again. The Dene is such a powerful draw supporter. You do already have the way to dig through your deck with that the Dene and the research as well. So you have multiple outs on things you can do in this point. I think he's going to eye up the Tapu Koko, has to make a decision. The clock is running down, and this is where benching Boltund could just be a little bit tough. You leave yourself the option to potentially use Dedenne here and then try to find Tapu Koko. This play is a little bit safer. Will not be dealing enough to take a knockout on the Boltund, but the problem with this is the Mewtwo Mew is now just a boss's orders away on Jeremy's side for taking this match. Yes, you can reset stamp down a card, but it's not really much of a difference, and you just leave your opponent an extra bench, or they don't have any bench spaces, so they cannot dig the deck, but I would have to see how many boss's orders have been played so far by Jeremy, but Mitch on his side is going to go ahead and play that Professor's Research. We'll go ahead and dig through the deck. He's going to see 7 fresh new cards, does find the energy as well, but not going to see too much off of that Speed Lightning Energy draw. Has a few options. Bolt Storm is only hitting for 190 damage, so not quite enough to take a knockout on the Pikachu and Zekrom. Regardless, though, it's still doing a whole chunk of damage, but it's hard to ask for this when your opponent is pretty much on a one-turn clock. However, we do see that Mitch has the boss's orders and the switch in hand as well as the energy, so assuming there's no knockout that gets taken here, we could see Mitch respond with a knockout of his own onto the opposing Mewtwo Mew.
Yeah, I think Jeremy's definitely in a solid spot here. Yeah, well, there you go. That's actually just going to be the game. Boss's orders brings up the Mewtwo and Mew. We've talked about the weakness here, how that can definitely play a factor here in this matchup, and we see that working out pretty well for Jeremy as Tag Bolt GX will just deal 400 damage to knock out the opposing Mewtwo and Mew. Jeremy taking a quick lead here. Super fast game there. Taking the quick lead in game number 1. Of course, Mitch looking to get a win here in game number 2, trying to force the game 3, trying to find themselves a spot in the winners finals. Ethan, what do you think of that game, and what kind of adjustments do you think we need to see from Mitch?
I think a big thing, he will be able to go second in this matchup, so that's again important, but I think really targeting and capitalizing on being able to potentially get the first gust up onto a Mewtwo Mew, needs to apply pressure a lot quicker, and I also think getting the first hit into the Pikachu and Zekrom is so important. We saw how important that was for Jeremy in that last match. So that's going to be the big thing here. Can they get the hit into the Pikachu and Zekrom? Naturally, if you're going second, you can get that attack off fast. But again, it just depends on how these players draw. So I think it's going to be a super interesting match. I'm looking forward to it. Again, if Jeremy wins this match, he will advance to the global finals here without dropping a single game. So this is going to be an exciting one. Mitch is in a little bit of a rut, but it's got to get out of it here. It's still doable. This is a mirror match. So again, both players have just about as good of a shot at pulling this out. So let's go ahead and throw it down to the match here. We've got game number 2 of this set for you guys here. Jeremy Lin up against Mitch Knuckey here. We will see what happens here. Obviously, Mitch is going to opt to go second to start things off. So we'll see how this hand ends up looking for him. And this is almost as good as it gets here. You've got the radar, you've got the speed, lightning energy, crushing hammer even to set your opponent back. Crushing hammer especially good when your opponent only has one energy on board. Can even threaten. Usually the player going first can possibly pull off something like a full blitz if they can get an energy attachment onto their Pikachu and Zekrom, followed up by popping the Tapu Koko Prism Star and another manual attachment. That's the 3 energies the Pikachu and Zekrom needs in this case. Jeremy is going to start things out. We'll see if he decides to go down that route, as we do see the Pikachu and Zekrom hit the board, as well as lightning energy. So really, when you're looking at the gameplay of both these players, that's all you can ask for, really, if you're Jeremy. You can't electrify, right? Can't attack this turn. So Jeremy's just going to keep it nice and simple. Back on to Mitch is going to start things out with an air balloon, and this crushing hammerheads could be big if it does hit, and it does.
Nice.
So looks like we will see the electromagnetic radar. Looks like going to take the route of using Dedenne instead of a supporter, and looks like both Pokemon are in the deck, the Raichu and the Alolan Raichu, as well as the Pikachu and Zekrom, and finds, hey, even more friends. There is a 5 Pokemon hand. So I think we'll just see probably one of these Boltons get benched, and this is the question of, are we going to see the Choo-Choo get benched? And we are not. So maybe taking a different route on this play. What do you think the thought process is, Chip, behind not benching that Mewtwo Mew?
Yeah, I mean, I think with the tag switch in Mitch's list, you can kind of afford to do this because you can create the Mewtwo and Mew kind of out of nowhere, just make it like a surprise drop. So it does make sense. I mean, I think it is really solid to utilize the Mewtwo. It is the most versatile attacker for you in this deck just in general, though it can be tough in this matchup when your opponent has their own Mewtwo.
Yes, smart choice from Jeremy. Most people would say, hey, the Pikachu and Zekrom is the threat, so I would just remove the basic energy off of that. But Boltund is still a threat, right? You don't want to be the first one to swing in with the Pikachu and Zekrom. So a smart choice from Jeremy, getting that speed, lightning energy off of the active Boltund. Another thing to note is Tapu Koko can only bring back basic lightning energy. So that's also one less energy the Tapu Koko Prism Star can bring out of the deck. Speaking of which, Mitch gets that off of the Marnie. Jeremy's going to get a fresh new hand of 5. Mitch looking at 4 cards, can't be too upset with what you've got in front of you. Tapu Koko, a few outs to draw some more cards. I don't know if there's enough lightning energy in that discard pile, though. Would have to check, as Jeremy's got a few outs to play. Is definitely, though, going to be looking to get off and electrify this turn.
But Jeremy still needs to find an energy attachment. We haven't seen that yet. And based on the pace of play here, might have kind of a tough choice, maybe thinking about going for like a Dedenne or a Crobat. I mean, you really, really do need to get this energy attachment. It can feel a little bad to put one of those easier prizes in play, I guess, at certain times, especially something like if something like a big tag bolt could come out from your opponent, especially knowing your opponent plays the tag switch, right? It's easier for them to try to create a play like that. But we'll see. Jeremy, I think maybe the first deck search here actually could be doing a little bit of prize checking as well, just kind of trying to weigh all of the options.
Yeah, it's not as crucial in this matchup, right? Boltund. Dedenne can be a late knockout with something like a Raichu and a Alolan Raichu. It does enough damage taking knockout on Dedenne. But in this matchup, it's going to be pretty straightforward on trying to deal with the main threats, right? Energy is big in this matchup because of how important Boltund is, right? Hits for more damage, the more energy you have in play. So if you're playing around those big energy targets, you can definitely get punished with something like a Boltund, as I believe we will see 2 quick balls actually come down. So the second one is going to go ahead and ditch 2 Professor's Research from the hand. So must have drawn into a lot of supporters off of that Marnie, as we do see the 1 copy of Mewtwo Mew get grabbed for Jeremy and put down into play, as we will also see the air balloon, interestingly enough, onto the Pikachu and Zekrom of all choices. Did not expect that. It is a 3 retreat Pokemon, so we'll still have to pay 1 energy to retreat, as the Dedenne change is going to draw 6 cards, and there it is, the speed lightning energy. Boltund will now be able to pull off and electrify and accelerate 2 lightning energy onto, most likely, this Pikachu and Zekrom. Could put on the Mewtwo and Mew, but I'm sure we'll probably see it go ahead and be placed onto this Pikachu and Zekrom. And action's back on Mitch. What does he really need to do this turn to put himself in an excellent position?
Well, you've got this Crobat in hand. All you need is 1 more energy. So if you can find, well, speaking of which, there's a speed lightning. I almost would like to see you just go ahead and bench Koko and then go ahead and Crobat before attaching the speed lightning. That could give you some more draw options. And then if you find the boss's orders, you can get a full blitz off into a Pikachu Zekrom, or even to this Mewtwo Mew, which actually is the Pokemon that got the energy attachment.
Yeah, it looks like we are going to see a different route from Mitch. Is going to just take the turn off, most likely to electrify and get some more energy on board. Again, really just prioritizing forcing one of these Pokemon, take a knockout. Boltund is not dealing enough damage to knock out an opposing Boltund, and that's going to be even harder if this Crushing Hammer hits, which it does not remove the energy off the board. If it flips tails, no effect. So now is the question with how many energies are in Mitch's discard pile. It's already attached for turn. Can go ahead and search out a Pokemon out of the deck. Looking through to see what is in there here. Looks like the tag switch is in deck, so that is a surprise factor that is possible. Interesting things to note as we're seeing this is actually going to go ahead and bench the other Pikachu and Zekrom, and we're going to see the energies get accelerated from there, so having just enough energy in there to utilize that Dance of the Ancients ability, and I mean, you have options here, right? You could go ahead and attack with the Pikarom, but as we said, it's so important to get that first attack into a tag team, and Electrify is just going to throw even more energies on the board. Jeremy's got to do something about this.
Absolutely, and it'll be on to Jeremy to see how they want to respond here. Maybe if Jeremy's got their own boss's orders in hand, plus another lightning energy. We also see the Coco as an option to get energies as well, right? Also something for Mitch, if Jeremy does not use the Tapu Koko here, what you could actually do is boss's orders and take out the Tapu Koko Prism Star. That way, all you need to do to win the game is knock out one tag team and one Boltund. So if I'm Jeremy here in this spot, for that specific reason, I'm definitely going to be looking to try to utilize Tapu Koko here.
Yeah, I definitely think it feels very bad to just have that in play. The ability to use it whenever and not be able to get the effect off of it, as there is the boss's orders onto this Pikachu and Zekrom. Exactly what you want to see if you're Jeremy. Feels like it's such a dominating position again. So important to get that first hit into a tag team Pokemon. And this is where things can get scary and where maybe the attachments to something like the Pikachu and Zekrom would have been a little bit better, because again, Jeremy can take 3 easy prizes if Mitch is not able to set up the Mewtwo and Mew and Jeremy can just place it down. We do know Mitch is playing the tag switch, so he's probably not going to bench the Mewtwo and Mew until he has those combination of cards to get it down. Otherwise, it's just going to be a free 3 prizes. However, getting the first full blitz is important for Jeremy, so I wonder if that's going to come back to bite him later, throwing those energies onto the Mewtwo and Mew off of the Electrify. Again, such an important card in this.
This is really interesting here. Jeremy unable to use the Tapu Koko Prism Star. What we actually could potentially see happen is a boss's orders played, bring up the Tapu Koko Prism Star, take the knockout, and then you can accelerate extra energies to this Pikachu and Zekrom on the bench, and then Tag Bolt does become a actual potential option here for you, right? And we see the Eldegoss as well, maybe wanting to get a supporter instead. Let's see what line Mitch is going for. I think if you're getting Eldegoss here, it looks like Boss is not going to be the choice.
Yeah, getting Marty instead, I definitely like that play of being able to bring up the Tapu Koko, but the problem with that as well is you would still need something else after the Tag Bolt, and this is a solid hand here if Mitch can find a Mewtwo and Mew off of something if this bench space opens up, but not really very playable. Besides this, Crushing Hammer could be a nice hit if this does flip heads. Has Tag Switch in hand, is not attached yet, so can still attach to the Boltund and put himself in a position where Boltund can take an opposing knockout. And another Tails flip definitely hurts to see here if you're Mitch. Again, hammers can just go either player's way. It's sort of up to luck. I mean, it is a coin flip based card.
Right.
I think he's deciding whether or not to play the switch. I believe hitting for a lot of damage here, just short, I believe, 10 damage short, 40, 70, 100, 130, 160, 190, 220 actually. So I believe, is it 250? I may be miscounting.
Yeah, 250 damage, so just short of picking up this KO with Bolt Storm. But it kind of feels bad to leave this Pikachu and Zekrom active. It just kind of becomes an easy 3 prizes for your opponent. You kind of do want to try to force them to take a knockout on Boltund so you can get that reset stamp to 1 play in the late game potentially. So even though you're not getting this KO, it might just be the best option here for Mitch. And we actually do see the preemptive tag switch here, which could be telling of some Tag Bolt plays coming in the future.
Yeah, Tag Bolt, obviously a super powerful attack. One of the first tag teams printed out of Team Up was that Pikachu and Zekrom, and it swept the format by storm, played left and right. This is going to be big. This Crushing Hammer from Jeremy, this hits. It does not, but that could have taken away the threat of Tag Bolt the following turn. That's all Mitch really has, just a single lightning energy, as his second to Dede is going to come down. Dede changed, discarding the hand, drawing 6 fresh new cards here for Jeremy. Has not played a Tapu Koko Prism Star, but this is where things get really scary. You You still have a bunch of energy in play. This Bolton on the bench can potentially take a knockout on this opposing Bolton, and then Mitch is in a position where, I mean, yeah, you do get the knockout onto, I guess this Bolton. You can take 4 prize cards. Actually, 5 if you choose to, but I wonder if taking 4 is just a better line of play, because that's 1 less card and get reset stamped.
Here's another Crushing Hammer. Could be a big flip. Another Tails and another Crushing Hammer to go with it. Let's see if this one has a little better. Yes, there we go. Gets rid of that energy. Does eliminate that potential Tag Bolt threat, at least this turn. It is still something Mitch is threatening later on in this game. And it was kind of unfortunate. Mitch had to utilize that Tag Switch a little too early. Not able to pull off the ideal Mewtwo play, but I guess it doesn't really quite matter as much since you're hitting into the Mewtwo already this turn, right? So you don't even necessarily have to attack with the Mewtwo or use it at all. And you do want to make sure those energies do get utilized in some form or fashion, since that Pikachu Zekrom does already have 150 HP on it. It definitely was at risk of getting Boss's Orders KO'd, and that's a lot less damage you can do with Bolton.
Yeah, this is a tough spot here if you're Mitch. I feel like you just went from having an excellent position to being on the back foot, right? You need to deal with this Bolton. It is dealing a ton of damage. Tapu Koko has not been popped yet, so that's plus 70, that's plus 100 damage right there essentially on your turn, because the 2 energies from Tapu Koko plus the attachment for turn. And I think just checking through to take a look, I think Mitch may be forced to use the Tag Bolt to take out this Bolton, and he will actually do that to take another 2 prizes to make it even on the prize trade. Understands how big of a threat that Bolton can be with so many energy on board, but it just doesn't feel good to be 1 energy short to get that extra 170 damage and take an additional 2 or 3 prize cards.
Yeah, definitely. I think maybe Mitch has a slight misstep with the energy attachment there. I think if you're accepting that, okay, I just have to go ahead and Tag Bolt, take out this Bolton to deal with the threat, which I totally agree with, you probably should just go ahead and attach the energy either to the Bolton here, so that's a potential attacker for you on the next turn, or even the other Pikachu and Zekrom would even have been better, because effectively this attachment is wasted, right? You didn't get any additional effect from that extra energy, and now you're still 2 attachments away from being able to attack with Bolton. Your Tapu Koko's gone, your Tag Switch is gone. So now literally the only Pokemon in your deck that you can attack with this coming turn is this Pikachu and Zekrom, which is going to be taking a big hit here.
And this is an excellent position for Jeremy. We see him start to build up that Pikachu and Zekrom on the bench. It is threatening a Tag Bolt for game the following turn, especially if this Mewtwo comes in and hits, and a reset stamp paired with that will give Mitch 3 less cards into the hand. Going to put him down to a 4-card hand size. Does have a reset stamp to answer, but this is sort of where the problem comes in. We actually see the Tapu Koko get popped right away. I like this play here from Jeremy. Realizes that Boss's Orders is a threat. Is going to utilize that right now to get the energy onto that Pikachu and Zekrom. And this is where Mitch needs to find one of those Crushing Hammers. Otherwise, game is just straight up on board. Jeremy has the cards needed, only needs an additional Lightning Energy, and will be able to take this game.
Yeah, Mitch definitely needs to find some hammers. Also needs to, try to get something else powered up here, because Pikachu Zekrom is quite definitely going down, it seems. So we do see the reset stamp. Mitch can go ahead and respond with that. Your opponent didn't have that many cards in hand, but it's in a situation here where the game is probably going to be over pretty soon. And if you're digging with Dedenne, might as well go ahead and limit them by 1. We do see the Speed Lightning could be drawn for turn. We also see Boss's Orders. Definitely Mitch having some options here. We'll be able to take 3 prizes on this Mewtwo and Mew. It's just going to be about trying to find a way to take this last single prize card, and it's pretty tough. Full Blitz only deals 150 damage. That's not enough to knock out the Dedenne GX. So I don't know. This feels like a tough spot for Mitch. I really like Jeremy's position here.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything Mitch can do if he researches. He loses, right, because of attaching the speed energy. So, yeah, gonna wish well played here. Jeremy going to go ahead and tell Mitch he's got a good deck, right? The deck did go ahead and get him into the Players' Cup Global Finals here. Tag Bolt is going to be the attack that sends Jeremy into the Global Finals here from Winner's Bracket. So not dropping a single match. And again, Tag Bolt, just such a strong attack. We'll be able to take 6 prize cards with just 1 attack, essentially. That just shows the power of Pikachu and Zekrom in the current standard format. Here it is. There is the Tag Bolt, going to deal 200 to the active and 170 damage to that bench Pikachu and Zekrom. And Jeremy Lin will be your first player from the Oceania region to advance into the Global Finals for the Pokemon trading card game for Players' Cup 3.
Yeah, no surprise at all. Pikachu and Zekrom, such a powerful deck, able to help Jeremy find their way into the global finals. Of course, we did see Zach Lesage take down Players Cup 2 with a very similar looking Pikachu and Zekrom deck, and that kind of became, after Zach won Players Cup 2, that kind of became the staple list that everyone built theirs off of, right? We saw the Yell Grunt in Zach's list, we saw the double Mewtwo and Mew in Zach's list, and that's kind of just the